We're going to go ahead and start our program now, but if you're not finished eating, please continue to eat. We got started a little late, and I apologize for that. One housekeeping item: if you have not silenced your cell phone yet, we would appreciate it if you would turn those off. Thank you. My name is Rick Enns, Engineers Foundation of Kansas past president, and I will serve as your Master of Ceremonies today. In addition to those in attendance, we are live streaming this celebration so that others may join in the recognition and celebration of Tom Mulinazzi. We have some special guests with us today, and I would like to recognize them now. Kansas Senator Marcy Francisco, Kansas Representative Barbara Ballard, former KU Endowment President, Mr. Dale Seiferling. Calvin Reed, KDOT Secretary of Transportation. Former KDOT Secretary of Transportation, Deb Miller. Dr. Tom Mulinazzi's daughter, Teresa, and her son, Tony. How about her husband, Tony? Let's try that. And with them is also their daughter, Tori, and German student, Julian Longerich, and a close friend of the family, Emma Grob French. And of course, our honoree, Dr. Tom Mulinazzi and his wife, Kathy. We will hear from some of these people later, and we thank you for attending. This celebration would not have been possible without the assistance from the KU School of Engineering, specifically Dr. Arvin Aga, Dr. Caroline Bennett, Amy Weirman, Cody Howard, Megan Hazelwood, Max Jiang, Aubrey Libby, and Grace Grant. So on behalf of the Engineers Foundation of Kansas, we thank you for your assistance with making this celebration possible. To start, let's hear from KU's new Dean of the School of Engineering, Dr. Mary Rezac. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Dr. Mary Rezac.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to chat with you today. It's really fun and exciting for me to be able to join you. As Rick mentioned, I am new to KU. See, I almost said K-State, and some of you know I'm not new to K-State. We love each other in the state. So I started my role here on the 1st of March, and I'm super excited to get to come home to Kansas. I am a native of Kansas. My mom lives about 5 miles outside of the metropolitan area of Emmett, Kansas. Anyone in the room know where Emmett is? We've got a couple. Yeah, excellent. It was a great place for me to grow up and learn and appreciate what it means to work hard and the value of education. I did get an undergraduate degree at Kansas State University, but then went off and worked in the world and have had the opportunity to come back here now. I most recently was serving as the Dean of Washington State University in Pullman, Washington, and then when this opportunity opened up, couldn't pass up the chance to come back to Kansas and to work with the immensely talented and capable faculty, staff, and students that are here at KU today. KU is such a phenomenal place. with outstanding students and faculty, and we've got a really bold and bright future ahead of us because of the activities that are happening here in the state that depend on really qualified engineering talent to keep moving our economy forward. And so the partnership that we have with the Engineering Foundation of Kansas and with the Professional Society of Kansas, we take very seriously and appreciate it greatly. Today marks one of the first large-scale public events that I've had the opportunity to join in at KU. And it's a great introduction to KU for me and to the larger engineering community of the state. We get to celebrate and honor the career of a legendary man. And it is said that he is better known, he is the best known faculty member from the state, certainly among fellow engineers, but also among the general public because of the work that he has done. I know that we're all proud to call Tom a Jayhawk engineer, and we deeply appreciate the work that he has done for KU and for the state. His decades-long record of service led to the success of countless KU engineering graduates, and he's been instrumental in assisting communities around the state with their transportation issues. And you can see that just by looking around the room today, all of the people that Tom has touched throughout his career. And I want to thank you for coming and joining in this celebration and allowing us to honor Tom in this way. On behalf of the KU engineering community, I want to thank and congratulate Tom on his achievement and extend our gratitude to the Engineering Foundation of Kansas for selecting Tom for this honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rizak. We know that you have a little bit of purple blood in you from your days at K-State, but you've now found your new home here at the Crimson and Blue Mount Oriad. And we're awfully delighted to have you leading the School of Engineering. Thank you. I want to go over the program now briefly with you. We have a number of speakers that you're going to hear from today that pay tribute to Tom and include those from the university community, former students, the Kansas State Board of Technical Professions, the Order of the Engineer, the National Society of Professional Engineers, the Kansas Department of Transportation, the KU faculty, the Kansas Society of Professional Engineers, and the Engineers Foundation of Kansas. We then have tributes from the Kansas House and Senate, followed by a check presentation, and then a special recognition of Dr. Tom Mulinazzi. The Engineers Foundation of Kansas, or EFK, is a 501c3 organization that was formed by the Kansas Society of Professional Engineers to support engineering students, educators, and practicing professionals with education and ethical practices. I would now like to ask the board, if you are in attendance, please stand so that you can be recognized. EFK board members. Thank you. I might add that the deans of the schools of engineering at KU, K-State, and Wichita State are also members of the EFK Board of Directors. Today, in honoring Tom Mulinazzi, the EFK established the endowed fund to provide financial support to KU School of Engineering that emphasizes engineering ethics and licensure. EFK recognizes the need for engineering ethics and licensure today more than at any time in the past. With artificial intelligence, complex computer programs, and other engineering tools available to students and practicing engineers, ethical practices and professional licensure are critically important. So the EFK is honored to announce and establish this endowment in Tom's name, the Tom Mulinazzi, PhD, Professional Engineer, Professional Surveyor, University of Kansas Engineering Ethics Licensure Fund, to promote engineering ethics and licensure. Today is a celebration and recognition of Dr. Tom Mulinazzi. I've known Tom for 45 years and have always admired him as an educator and practicing engineer. And to start our program, I'd like to share a little bit of information about him that you may or may not have known. Tom was born in Ottawa, Illinois, and raised in Naples, Illinois, a small Italian community, approximately 600 people. You can see on the map that Ottawa and Naples are approximately 60 miles southwest of Chicago. Tom's dad worked in a glass factory, and his mother was a homemaker. Tom's parents had rules to follow, and they had high expectations of him. Early influencers in his life were Miss Hilliard, his kindergarten through second grade teacher, and his local priest, Father Duke. Upon graduation, Tom applied to Notre Dame because a friend applied there, and he planned to major in mathematics. In his first semester, during the midterm exam in numerical analysis, he had to prove 1 + 1 = 2. Tom did that, but he went to the priest in charge of the math department and he told him, "I believe that 1 + 1 = 2 on faith. Therefore, that makes me an engineer and not a mathematician." He then went to the dean of engineering and was asked what field did he want to study. Because a grade school friend's father was hiring a civil engineer for a geotechnical problem, Tom said, "Civil engineering." Thank goodness for Tom's friend's father. And as they say, the rest is history. While at Notre Dame, Tom worked 3 summers at the Illinois Highway Department and decided to major in transportation. Oh, and do you notice in the photo, in the slide, the Irish marching band in the lower right photo that features the snare drum section? I bet you didn't know that Tom played the snare drum in the marching band, the basketball band, and the concert band. He did. And in true leadership fashion, Tom was president of the Notre Dame Band his senior year. Upon graduating from Notre Dame, Tom applied to Georgia Tech, Illinois, and Purdue, and was accepted to all 3. Tom chose Purdue and studied transportation. During his time there, as many graduate students do, Tom served as a graduate assistant and received a Graduate Assistant Teaching Award. After graduating, Tom worked for the Kentucky Highway Department and a Louisville, Kentucky consulting firm. One day, while speaking to a former professor who remembered how much Tom enjoyed teaching, he recommended that Tom go back to Purdue to complete his PhD. Once again, thank goodness for that professor. Tom went back to Purdue, earned his PhD, and was ready to teach. And although teaching would be his profession, it should be noted that engineers at the Illinois Highway Department and the Kentucky Highway Department influenced Tom that licensure was critical for him to advance as a transportation engineer. And taking this to heart, Tom became licensed in Kentucky via an oral exam. And I gotta tell you, there's a real story behind this oral exam. It involved 2 questions. And I'm not gonna go into the details now. Tom can share those later if he wants. But he passed his oral exam of 2 questions in Kentucky, and then 4 months later, passed the written professional engineering exam in Indiana. After graduating from Purdue, Tom applied to several universities and accepted a position at the University of Maryland because he would be one of 5 civil engineering faculty members in transportation. 2 nationally known faculty members mentored Tom and encouraged him to be involved in transportation at the national level. After 6 years, Tom was offered an assistant dean's position. And although tenured, if he accepted, that probably meant staying in the Washington, D.C. metro area for a long time, an idea that did not appeal to Tom and his young family. So although difficult, Tom made the decision to apply to several universities and give up tenure at the University of Maryland. After visiting several other universities, Tom visited KU, and in Tom's words, it was the perfect fit. Dr. Stan Rolfe, Civil Engineering Department Chair, and the cohesive nature of the civil engineering faculty were influential in Tom's decision to accept the position at KU. One day, Tom complained to Stan that the ASCE student chapter was inactive. And what happens when you complain to the boss? Yep, Stan appointed Tom as student advisor to the ASCE student chapter. Thus began a rich and illustrious career advising students and serving several positions over the years, including professor, chair of the Civil, Environmental, and Architectural Engineering Department, and associate dean of the School of Engineering, and even serving as mentor advisor to the KU's Triangle Fraternity. Tom taught from 1979 to 2014, 35 years until he retired. But wait, Tom was not finished. He continued to advise students in retirement from 2014 until COVID hit in 2020. Tom, I've never told you this, but those friends of mine that are in my KU engineering circles, we said that Tom and Stan Rolfe, they'd never really retire because they keep showing up at everything KU engineering, serving the students, serving the school, and serving the university as a whole. And in recognition of this service, Tom was honored with the University of Kansas School of Engineering Distinguished Engineering Service Award in 2023, the highest honor bestowed by the University of Kansas School of Engineering for an engineer. I think we all know that Tom has a passion for athletics, and he enjoyed sports, even playing baseball in high school. At KU, Tom had the opportunity to chair the KU athletic board 3 times. And here comes the good part. In the summer of 1988, and I think that's the year we won a national championship in basketball. In the summer of 1988, Lawrence hosted the 13 and under AAU National Basketball Tournament. Tom volunteered. Now, doesn't that sound familiar? Tom volunteered. Tom volunteered to keep score at one of the venues, and he was assigned to Allen Fieldhouse. That week, Tom kept score for 58 basketball games. Then the Big 8 Conference decided that there should be an assistant scorekeeper because they had adopted the three-point shot. Tom was asked if he would be interested in that job. Tom couldn't answer yes fast enough. Tom worked for 28 years on the scorer's bench, with 10 years as the official scorekeeper of KU men's basketball. Best seat in the fog, and the best use by a guy who knows his numbers. As I stated earlier, Tom was influenced by his parents, teachers, priests, employers, and others. And I'd like to share some quotes from Tom that sum up the type of person that Tom is. My parents had the most influence on me. Dad said, "A person is only as good as his word." And I always tried to remember what it was like to be a student. Now, don't you wish you had professors that remembered what it was like to be a student? I know personally I can remember a few non-engineering professors that could have learned a lesson or two from Tom. A few other quotes from Tom. Engineers at the Illinois Highway Department and the Kentucky Highway Department influenced me that licensure was critical for me to advance as a transportation engineer. My biggest joy was advising students, and I never had a greater assist me in 41 years as a professor. Tom wanted to know what the student knew and where he needed to do a better job communicating and explaining the material. Tom also had another policy. In addition to never having a grader assist him, he promised to return graded material in 1 week, and if not, the students received an A. In 41 years, only 3 times did students receive an A, all due to deaths in Tom's family. Talk about a dedicated professor, a student advocate, a mentor, a passion for teaching. That is Tom Mulinazzi. We now learned a little bit about Tom, his beginnings, his education, and his career, but what do others have to say about Tom? Let us first hear comments from the university community. First on our list is Dr. Stuart Bell, former KU Dean of the School of Engineering and current president of the University of Alabama. I had the honor of serving on the Dean's Selection Committee when Dr. Bell was selected as KU's Dean of Engineering in 2002. And I would like to remind the audience that Dr. Bell was instrumental and provided key leadership in the Kansas legislature passing the University Engineering Initiative Act in 2011, resulting in the wonderful facilities that we have across the street since the act passed. Dr. Bell received the University of Kansas Distinguished Engineering Service Award in 2012. President Bell.
Hello, Tom, and congratulations. For those joining us, Tom and I were both at the University of Kansas, and it's such an honor to recognize him today. Tom, I wished I could be there, but I am thrilled to be able to send this note. I have many peers from my years in higher education, and Tom and I share not just a professional journey, but a friendship. We had similar interests in transportation systems and, of course, helping many, many new engineers over the years. In 2003, Tom also taught me bocce ball. Don't ask me why I remember that. But one thing that always stood out about Tom was his genuine commitment to advising students. He had a remarkable ability to put himself in their shoes, to remember what it was like to navigate the complexities of university life. Yes, all the studying those young folks had to do, but also Toastmasters, math counts, and giving back to your community. His dedication to guiding and supporting students was truly admirable. It wasn't just a job, it was a calling. There is no doubt that Tom has touched countless lives through his passion for helping his students excel. Tom, my friend, your impact on students' lives will be a lasting legacy. Thank you for your unwavering dedication, your friendship, and the positive influence that you've had on KU, the state of Kansas, our educational community, and generations of students during your esteemed career. I wish you all the best.
Thank you, President Bell. Our next speaker is Dr. Arvind Agha. Dr. Agha, who is professor of electrical engineering and computer science at KU, served a 5-year term as KU Dean of the School of Engineering, which just ended. While Dean, Dr. Agha served on the Engineers Foundation of Kansas Board of Directors, and when the Engineers Foundation Board of Directors first approached Dr. Agha last August about honoring Tom, he said Tom was certainly deserving of this honor, and he endorsed it and offered the assistance and hosting of the University of Kansas School of Engineering. Thank you, Dr. Agha, and here is Dr. Agha.
Greetings, Tom. Congratulations on being honored by the Engineers Foundations of Kansas for your diligent work on engineering licensure and ethics. This is a well-deserved honor. As I've traveled the state, I've often learned about the profound impact you've had on engineers. Many thanks for your service to the engineering education and the engineering profession. Rock chalk.
Thank you, Dr. Agha. Next on our list of university community speakers is Dr. Carl Locke, Jr. Dr. Locke served as the KU Dean of the School of Engineering from 1986 until 2002. In 2002, Dr. Locke received the University of Kansas's Distinguished Engineering Service Award. And when I spoke with Carl about speaking today, about his relationship with Tom and Tom's service to the School of Engineering, Carl enthusiastically said yes. Would you please give a warm welcome to Dr. Carl Locke?
Tom Mulinazzi and enthusiasm. Those two words go together like many other word pairs we've used all our life. Milk and honey, peanut butter and jelly, KU basketball, and the Jayhawks. His photo, which is in front of you, was used, illustrates the things that he is most enthusiastic about. He has a Jayhawk tie, has a School of Engineering lapel pen, a Notre Dame ring, and an Order of the Engineering ring. So you can look at that and pick all of those things out. He does possess another very significant ring. He has a personalized KU Basketball National Championship ring. That was the KU Athletic Department's way of thanking Tom for the many years at the scorer's table, which you've heard about a few minutes ago. There's a lot of other areas that Tom is also enthusiastic about. His family, his church, organizations like Rotary and Cottonwood, that's a Lawrence organization serving individuals developmentally disabled. As an example of his enthusiasm, when he left his home in central Illinois to enter Notre Dame, his love of baseball led him to try out as a walk-on for the Notre Dame baseball team. After the tryout period, Tom tells me, the baseball coach called him to his office and told him, "Son, you're the most enthusiastic player I've ever had try out for the team and to play for the team." But he said, "Tom, as a baseball player, you're really no good." He said, "Unfortunately, I have to cut you for the team." While his enthusiasm for baseball was not a path to success, his enthusiasm for other things have led to many successes. His enthusiasm for the engineering profession has resulted in all the good things he's done, for which we honor him today. I'm limiting my comments to his contributions to the engineering profession while he was part of the KU faculty and as a faculty member and as associate dean. His contributions were vital and considerable to ensure KU engineering graduates had the knowledge and the professional attitude to be able to make significant contributions to society. As a faculty member, he taught and advised numerous civil engineering for the 35 years he was on the faculty. I know he had an impact on their lives from conversations with many of them. As associate dean, he was responsible for ensuring all engineering students met the academic standards in order to graduate. He dismissed from the School of Engineering all those who did not. He dealt with those individuals who cheated in their courses. He was particularly strict with those folks. He liked to say to them, "When are you going to stop cheating? This can carry on in your life after you graduate and would be a serious threat to the public." He worked to ensure that all those students either understood the error of their ways and changed, or they did not receive an engineering degree. He began a Toastmasters chapter in order to help engineering students develop their oral communication skills, and he continued to personally moderate the weekly sessions long after his retirement. In fact, he just recently turned that position over to someone else. He organized the KU School of Engineering branch of the Order of the Engineer, and for 28 years he conducted the annual induction ceremony for engineering students. He served for many years as ABET program evaluator for civil engineering programs around the country. So in summary, Tom has enthusiastically served the engineering profession in many ways mentioned today. His service to the profession by his work with the students at KU, in my mind, may be the most important of his contributions. Congratulations, Tom. You are a good friend. It was great working with you, and you deserve this honor. It's very well deserved. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Locke. We've now heard from three deans, three expressions of admiration and respect. Tom, you've earned the position as a top educator, and the School of Engineering students are its beneficiaries. Our next speaker is Dr. Susan Stagg Williams. Dr. Williams is chair of the KU Chemical and Petroleum Engineering Department and a Charles E. and Mary Jane Spar professor. She is also KU's faculty athletics representative. Dr. Williams.
Tom, it is truly my honor to be able to say thank you for all that you have done for KU. It was clear from the moment that I stepped on campus that you had a passion and commitment to providing the very best education and experiences for our students. You have given so much of your time and talent to the university, to Kansas athletics, the School of Engineering, and the community. While it is impossible to fully describe the impact that you have had, know that you have helped to mentor and leave a lasting impression on many, including myself. The lessons that I have learned from you are numerous and have helped me more than you will ever know. You have modeled true service in roles such as the Associate Dean, serving on the Senate Athletic Committee, and keeping the official scorebook at Kansas basketball games. You have demonstrated caring and connection to our students by being faculty advisor for Order of the Engineers, encouraging students to participate in Toastmasters, and even by sitting in the dunk tank during Engineering Week. And finally, you have influenced my wardrobe, as you once told me that you always made sure to have a Jayhawk on as a sign of your unwavering passion and pride for KU. Tom, you have been a tremendous role model for me personally and for so many in the Jayhawk family. Thank you for all that you have done. I am truly blessed to call you a colleague and a friend. Rock Chalk.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. You remember me earlier telling you about Tom's involvement with KU athletics, and specifically men's basketball. Well, our next speaker is Coach Bill Self. In 21 seasons at Kansas, Coach Self has 588 wins and 143 losses. That's an 80% win rate, averaging 28 wins per year. Overall, he has won 795 games and lost 248 for a 76.2% record over 31 seasons as head coach. He was named just the 8th head basketball coach in KU basketball history on April 21st, 2003. And while at Kansas, Coach Self has won 2 national championships, an NCAA record 13 straight regular season game championships, 16 overall, and 8 league tournament championships. He has guided KU to 3 Final Fours and 8 Elite Eights. He has 314 wins and 18 losses, that's 95%, all-time wins in Allen Fieldhouse, and he was enshrined as the first ballot honoree in the class of 2017 Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. Coach Bill Self.
Hey y'all, Bill Self here. Hey, I'm just one of the many to congratulate Tom on an unbelievable career, not only in the engineering department. I hear they're even endowing a scholarship on his behalf in his name, but also for all the great work he's done in athletics and certainly at the scores table. Tom, you've made life a lot better for so many. Congratulations on all your successes, both on and off the court, and we wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you, Coach Self. You know, it's kind of tough to round up Coach Self over the last couple of months, but we really appreciate him offering comments. Our next series of speakers are former students. I was not a student at Tom's, but I'd like to share a couple of stories regarding Tom when I was a student at KU. It was the summer of 1979. Tom had just arrived on campus. I was walking down the second floor hallway, clear down at the west end, between the concrete lab and the structures lab. If you have gray hair like me, you remember that short north-south hallway between those 2 labs. This young professor was standing in his doorway. And Tom, what was your office, 4 feet by 8 feet with no windows, something like that? He was standing in his doorway, and he stops me to introduce himself. He then proceeds to ask me all kinds of questions. What year was I? What was I studying? What classes was I taking? More and more questions over and over. I thought, you know, this guy's actually all right because he cares about people, and I wish I was a little younger and could take a few classes from him. Fast forward to later that fall. I have my KU letter jacket on, and Tom stops me again and asks how my season's going, what events am I running, what are my times. We talked a little bit, and mind you, I had told Tom that I was going to do my master's, was starting my master's program under Dr. McKinney in environmental engineering. And he says, Rick, I'm taking my graduate railroad engineering class on a field trip to the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Argentine hump yard. You want to go? I said, Tom, I'm studying under Dr. McKinney to do my environmental engineering master's program. His response was, so? So I immediately answered yes. And you see, that's who Tom is. It didn't matter that I was an environmental engineering student. Tom was and is for all students. That speaks to who Tom is. Now let's hear from some former students on what they have to say about Tom. Our first former student to share his experiences is Aaron Fritz. Mr. Fritz is a principal at GBA. Mr. Fritz.
Dr. Mulinazzi, I still can't call you Tom as a former student. I wanted to take a moment to tell you congratulations on a wonderful career and to put into words what you've meant to me. I struggled to find the right words, but eventually I found the one key word, impact. The impact you have on students, the impact you have on teachers, and the impact you have on the profession. You've coached student athletes, engineers. You've mentored them, you've guided them, you've provided support for students through Toastmasters and your role in the administration for the Civil Engineering Department. With regard to impact to teachers, I credit a lot of my skill and background as an adjunct instructor at KU from watching you teach other students. The impact you've had on the profession is pretty profound. Your work with ABET, the ethics classes you've taught, the ASCE and other professional orgs and your involvement with them, you really have had a profound impact on future leaders. I still retain what I learned in your classes some 15 years ago, and I can't thank you enough for all the opportunities you provided me. So with that, congratulations again, and here's to you on a wonderful career.
Thank you, Mr. Fritz. Our second former student to comment on Tom is Dr. Howard Lubliner. Dr. Lubliner is transportation leader at Burns and McDonald. Dr. Lubliner.
Hi, my name is Howard Lubliner, and I'm a 1999, 2002, and 2010 graduate of KU's Civil Engineering program. My first and favorite moment of Tom Mulinazzi came as a senior in high school when I was touring all of the colleges that I had been accepted to in their engineering program. At the time, I had this portfolio of CAD drawings, which were brand new to our profession, and which I was incredibly proud of going along on these tours. During our campus tour, Dr. Mulinazzi, as the department chair at that time, took time out of his very busy schedule to meet with me and my dad and talk to us about the civil engineering program. I remember sitting down in Tom's office and laying out this portfolio of CAD drawings, just beaming with excitement and just so proud of what I had accomplished and to show Dr. Mulinazzi. Dr. Mulinazzi sits down and looks at the drawings he has, and he looks at me in a way that I'm sure many of us here have seen before, very direct and to the point. He says, "Howard, son, don't get me wrong, these drawings are great, but that's drafting. If you're going to spend the next 4 years of your life being a civil engineer, you really need to understand what that means." And Tom got up from his desk, took me and my dad and gave us a whirlwind tour by himself of Learned Hall. He took us to the fluids lab, took us to the structures lab, took us to the pavement lab, took us to the survey lab, and really made sure that I knew what civil engineering was all about. At that moment, there was no doubt in my mind after that I was going to become a civil engineer and that I was going to be a Jayhawk. Tom, I'm so appreciative of all of the time that you invested in me, of all the great lessons I learned about the complexities and awesomeness of transportation, about the deep importance of ethics for our profession. So proud to be here to help recognize this incredible icon of our profession, Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
Thank you, Dr. Lubliner. Our last former speaker to speak regarding his experiences with Tom is Jamie Gilbert. Mr. Gilbert is president of GBA Systems Integrators, LLC. Mr. Jamie Gilbert.
When I was asked to put together a quick little presentation for Tom Mulinazzi regarding what he's meant to be in our life, it was incredibly easy to say yes, but really hard to figure out what to say. When I started college back in 1981, I was like a lot of college students at that time. I really embraced college life and enjoyed my first couple semesters. Tom took me under his wing and taught me how to be a college student, how to be an engineer, how to do things correctly. With Tom's mentoring, I was able to get my Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering at KU, went on and got my Master's in Transportation Engineering at KU, and then continued to develop and grow and learn as an engineer because he taught me how to learn. Since then, I've worked in the Kansas City area for George Butler Associates, GBA, went on to lead one of the affiliate groups, George GBA Systems Integrators, and now I'm the CTO in a technology group that's doing communications work all over the world. So all I can really say to Tom is thank you. Without your mentoring and your support when I really needed it, I wouldn't be where I am today. So thank you very much. Good luck with your retirement, and hopefully someday I'll be able to do the same.
Thank you, Mr. Gilbert. For those of you who may not have known Tom that well before, I think it's pretty obvious from the comments that students really appreciated Tom as a professor. I know I'm not alone in saying we all had professors who were can't-miss classes because the professor didn't just teach, he brought the classroom alive. He shared real-world experiences, stories, and lessons learned. Tom's classes were definitely can't-miss classes. Our next group of speakers represent the Kansas State Board of Technical Professions, the Order of the Engineer, and the National Society of Professional Engineers. As many of you may remember, Tom served on the Kansas State Board of Technical Professions for 12 years, and on your screen is the mission statement of the board. First appointed in 2000 by Governor Bill Graves, Tom was reappointed twice by Governor Kathleen Sebelius. Tom was chairman of the board in 2005. Now, the board met yesterday and is currently meeting today, so they're not able to attend this celebration. But they did send a card signed by the board members recognizing and honoring Tom for his dedicated service to the board and the state of Kansas. Tom, we've got a card up here for you that we'll give you as a keepsake, and I won't read all the comments, but the common theme amongst them is, thank you for your service to the engineering profession, for inspiring engineers, and for your dedication to licensure. Tom is the consummate leader for the ethical and licensed practice of engineering. Thank you, Tom, for your service to the Board of Technical Professions and to the citizens of Kansas. Cecil Kingsley, our next speaker, received a degree in mathematics from Southwest Missouri State in 1970, then served 2 years as an officer in the United States Army. In 1978, Mr. Kingsley graduated from Kansas State University with a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering, and he became a licensed professional engineer in Kansas. Cecil is a lifetime member of the American Public Works Association, where he and Tom worked together and served on the scholarship committee. Cecil served on the Kansas State Board of Technical Professions for 3 terms, from 1999 until 2011, so they overlapped for 10 or 11 years. Cecil held various offices with the board and chaired the board in 2007. Please welcome Mr. Cecil Kingsley.
Thank you, Rick. Good afternoon. Tom, I'm honored and grateful to be able to be here to have the opportunity and recognize you today. I've had the privilege to know you for decades. I've had the honor to serve with you in various organizations. You were an advisor to my son, who's now the president of an engineering firm, to my grandson, who's a member of that firm, successful careers in Kansas like so many other of your students. So you had a huge impact on my family. As it was just mentioned, I served with Tom on the Kansas State Board of Technical Professions for 12 years, 11 of which overlapped with Tom, and thank God it did. As I think back to our time on the Board of Technical Professions, I have to recognize some of your accomplishments, and I'll speak pretty quickly here because they were many and I can't list them all. But I know some of them will bring a smile to your face, and I hope to publicly recognize you for them. At some point, Tom held every office on the Board of Technical Professions that an engineer could hold. He was the chair of the Engineering Surveying Committee. He served on the Complaint Committee, and of course he was chair there. He made sure that the ethical treatment of complainants and defendants alike was fair. Tom served as chair, as was mentioned, in 2005, and I was 2 years after him, and the key word there is after. I was able to lean on your example and your experience, and you helped me a lot. A lot of phone calls in the evenings and weekends, and I enjoyed the time working with you. Tom was a champion of ethical practice. He taught it, he lived it from the heart, and he made sure everyone knew the importance of ethical practice. Tom was the go-to person on the board concerning evaluation of foreign degrees, and he was a leader in encouraging graduates to become licensed. Tom was active in NCWS on the regional and national level. We went to many meetings together. Tom was involved in numerous changes to the Kansas State Board of Technical Professions rules and regulations, as well as the Kansas statutes. Interactions at the State House were annual, and Tom was always involved. He was heavily involved in all Board of Technical Professions issues, such as education, qualification-based selection, examination, proctoring exams, professional practice areas, ABET accrediting, exam security, budgeting, and the list goes on and on and on. Tom, you touched many lives. I've been personally blessed. My family has been blessed. Your students have been blessed. And our profession has been blessed by your caring, professional, and ethical service. As a footnote, it was mentioned that we served on the APWA Scholarship Committee together, where we tried to endow scholarships at the universities for juniors and seniors. And I personally witnessed Tom load students in his car to drive them to the annual auction, made sure they were introduced to engineers in practice in Kansas. And can you just imagine that captured crowd in that car 2 to 4 hours to and from these meetings? Kathy, I have to mention you as well. You supported Tom in all those meetings, all those weekends, all those evenings away from home, and I know you contributed to his accomplishments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cecil. Our next speaker is David Janover. David is chairman of the Board of Governors for the Order of the Engineer. The Order of the Engineer was initiated in the United States to foster a spirit of pride and responsibility in the engineering profession, to bridge the gap between training and experience, and to present to the public a visible symbol identifying the engineer. The Order of the Engineer oath and obligation speaks to the engineer's ethical code and conduct. Here is David Janover from Arizona.
Hello, Tom Mulinazzi, and hello to all in attendance today. Tom, I wish you congratulations on your well-deserved recognition by the Engineers Foundation of Kansas and the University of Kansas School of Engineering. Your significant contributions to and support of engineering ethics and licensure throughout your distinguished career has made an important difference to thousands of students and practicing professionals. The Order of the Engineer was formed in 1970 to encourage engineering graduates to uphold the standards and dignity of our engineering profession. As chair of the Order of the Engineer, I wish to thank you for your many years of service promoting ethical conduct. Order of the Engineer Link coordinators induct more than 30,000 graduates each year. Your work as the University of Kansas coordinator, encouraging students to understand the obligation of the engineer and their ethical responsibility to the public and the profession, is sincerely appreciated. I remind those present at today's luncheon that in 2019, the Order of the Engineer recognized you, Tom, as one of only 10 outstanding Link coordinators in the United States. So Tom, congratulations to you and your family for this well-deserved recognition. Thank you for your years of service to the Order of the Engineer. Our world is a better place because of your dedication to the engineering profession and the encouragement of ethical conduct and engineering licensure. And lastly, Tom, I want to personally thank you for all that you do for the engineering students and for the way that you exemplify exactly what the Order of the Engineer stands for and represents. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Janover. Our next speaker is Bill Atkinson, President of the National Society of Professional Engineers. The National Society of Professional Engineers, the linchpin of licensed professional engineers, has a code of ethics by which members follow. Here is Bill Atkinson from Vermont.
Congratulations on your well-deserved recognition by the Engineers Foundation of Kansas and the University of Kansas School of Engineering. As president of the National Society of Professional Engineers, I applaud you for your significant contributions to and support of engineering ethics and licensure throughout your distinguished career. It has clearly made an important difference to thousands of students and practicing professionals and educated them on the value of licensure and their ethical obligation as professional engineers. The National Society of Professional Engineers was formed in 1934 to promote ethical practice and to protect the public from unqualified practitioners, and is the recognized voice and advocate of licensed professional engineers throughout the nation. It can only be the recognized voice, however, with dedicated individuals like yourself breathing life into our shared mission. In addition, your work with our partner NCES to encourage students to take the fundamentals of engineering exams strengthen Kansas economic and workforce development. I remind those today present at this luncheon that in 1995, the Kansas State Board of Technical Professions recognized you with their Outstanding Service Award. It is very clear that your dedication to engineering licensure has made a positive and lasting impact on the state of Kansas. Tom, congratulations to you and your family for this well-deserved recognition. Thank you for your years of service to the engineering and surveying professions. And I'd also like to thank the Engineers Foundation of Kansas for making it a point to recognize such outstanding service to our society. Our world is truly a better place because of your dedication to our profession and for your encouragement of ethical behavior and licensure. Congratulations again, Tom.
Thank you, President Atkinson. It's obvious from this group of individuals that Tom's commitment, his passion, his dedication to engineering, ethics, and licensure are not only well known, but appreciated not only locally, but across the state and across the entire country. Our next group of speakers are former or current employees of the Kansas Department of Transportation. As many of you know, KU and KDOT have had a close working relationship for a number of years. The University of Kansas Transportation Center conducts, coordinates, and promotes transportation training, technology transfer, and research to the state of Kansas and the surrounding region. In any given year, Tom could be found leading research activities with KDOT. Our first speaker in this group is Deb Miller. Ms. Miller was appointed as Secretary of the Kansas Department of Transportation in 2003, becoming the first woman to serve in that role in the state's history. She served for 3 governors and eventually became the state's longest-serving secretary. She is currently chair of the Kansas Turnpike Authority Board, and with more than 20 years of service, Deb helped craft the Comprehensive Highway Program, the Comprehensive Transportation Program, and T-Works for KDOT. It's always a joy to hear her speak because she always brings so much passion and enthusiasm. Please welcome Deb Miller.
Thank you so much, Rick. I'm really happy to be here today. And I would say, looking at the order of the speakers representing KDOT, it's clear that the organizing principle around the order in which we would speak was age before importance. So, Secretary Reed, I'll warm the audience up for you. How about that? As many of you might be aware, I came to transportation, quite frankly, with no academic credentials and limited experience. I had been doing transportation policy for Governor John Carlin, and that's where I met John Kemp, who was then Secretary of the Kansas Department of Transportation. And Secretary Kemp had asked me to come over to the department and work for him. And I have to say, initially I resisted. It didn't sound that interesting to me. And I am glad to say that he persisted, because I'm very happy that I had an opportunity to create a career in transportation and be involved in the kind of work that all of you do. I was pretty early in my career at KDOT as the Director of Planning and Development when I was first exposed to Dr. Tom Mulinazzi. And I have to say, I was impressed from the beginning. One of the things I loved was his directness, his sort of everyman aura that he had about him. But the thing that was most striking is that you didn't have to look too deeply to realize this was a really smart guy who knew what he was talking about. Maybe I was impressed because of my own lack of experience, but I don't think so. I feel like I have a pretty good eye for that total authenticity that Dr. Mulinazzi possesses. And I feel like I know wisdom when I hear it, and I heard a lot of wisdom from Dr. Mulinazzi. He was one of the professionals in transportation whose example made me glad that I had become a professional in this industry, if not an engineer. And I would say that over the years of hearing him speak at conferences or in meetings or other places, I felt like I learned a better sense of what was important and why it was important, and became a better transportation policy advocate than I would otherwise have been. So thank you, Tom, for the mentorship I feel you provided me, and clearly have provided so many students across the KU campus in the state of Kansas, and for being a leader in transportation, and really for helping to make transportation in Kansas better.
Thank you, Deb. I'm pleased to introduce our next speaker, Jerry Younger. Mr. Younger, a KU alumnus, retired in 2016 from KDOT after 30 years of service, ending his career as Kansas Deputy Secretary of Transportation and State Transportation Engineer. He is currently the Managing Director of the Kansas Aggregate Producers Association and Kansas Ready Mix Concrete Association. Please welcome Mr. Jerry Younger.
Thank you, Rick. Just like old times, Deb, right? Following Deb Miller onto the stage here. Many of you will know what I'm talking about. But so you could just as easily put me in the student category, too. First time I met Tom, and he may not even remember this, was early 1980s. I'd come to KU with full intentions of being a chemical engineer. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, the first semester of physical chemistry, which is well known as the weed out course for chemical engineers, had that very effect on me. And so I was looking for where the most credits I had, or all the credits I had, where the most of them would transfer into. I kind of zeroed in on civil engineering. And I stopped in the civil engineering office and said, I'm a chemical engineering major right now, but I'd like to talk to someone about transferring to civil engineering. They hooked me up with Tom, and we had a nice conversation back then in the early 80s, and became a civil engineering major shortly thereafter. One thing I can remember during my civil engineering career, or time at KU anyway, is, and many of you can relate out in the audience, ultimately you had to take the surveying class, Tom's surveying class, and among other things, run traverses around Potter Lake, and that was always fun. Set up the machine, the different surveying pieces of equipment, and that was fun. But the thing that probably got me the most respect, Tom, was learning how to throw a chain. And many of the young people in here won't even know what that means, but for old people, you know what throwing a chain means. After I went to work for KDOT in the engineering training program, at that time anyway, you spent some time with the surveying crew. And when you could show up on a surveying crew and show that you could throw a chain, you got some instant respect there. But I appreciated working with Tom throughout my career. As said, I spent over 30 years of my career with KDOT, and I'm glad Tom was engaged in various things with KDOT during that time, and got to stay engaged with him in that capacity. He's been a steadfast member of the transportation community all these years, and a presence that we all kind of took for granted and came to expect over time. But well-deserved this recognition for sure. He's been an important person in our community. So thank you, Tom, and congratulations.
Thank you, Jerry. Next is a Kansas State University grad, Calvin Reed, Secretary of the Kansas Department of Transportation. Secretary Reed was appointed by Governor Laura Kelly last summer. Secretary Reed has 22 years of engineering service in the governmental and private sectors. Please give a warm welcome to Secretary Reed.
Yeah, I am a K-State grad, but I'm going to turn that around here in a little bit. So, Dr. Mulinazzi, on behalf of the Kansas Department of Transportation and the state of Kansas, I'd just like to thank you for your years of service and your contributions to transportation in this state. You know, Kansas is known across the country for the quality of our transportation system. And a system like that does not happen by accident. You know, we need well-qualified and trained engineers to be able to design and construct a system of the magnitude that Kansas has. Dr. Mulinazzi, although you may not have any seals on any plans for any highway projects, I don't know if you do or not, actually, you have influenced the many engineers that have put their seals on those plans. And that is very important. Your legacy lives on through those plans, through those seals, through those engineers who have designed and constructed our transportation system. You know, as a licensed professional engineer, I'd like to personally thank Dr. Mulinazzi for his professionalism and integrity that you bring to engineering. His teaching goes beyond the technical aspects of engineering. His legacy is really cemented in the mentoring of students and other professions about the ethical responsibilities of the professional engineer. From one engineer to another, I thank you for all you have done to advance our profession. And finally, Dr. Mulinazzi, you have probably advised hundreds, if not thousands, of engineering students over the course of your career. So I'd not be surprised at all to find out that if you don't remember a student that you advised in the spring of 1996, who was here at the University of Kansas, who was in the architectural engineering department and really trying to find my way and trying to determine whether or not engineering was the right career for me. Somebody pointed me in your direction. I sat down with you, and I honestly, I don't remember what you told me, but I knew at the end of that conversation, I was confident that I could be an engineer, that I could do this. Now, I ended up transferring to K-State shortly after that, but I will tell you, I would not be here where I'm at today if it weren't for that conversation. Thank you. So,
thank you, Secretary Reed. 3 outstanding KDOT leaders expressing their appreciation for Tom's leadership, engineering expertise, and professionalism. Perhaps the group of individuals that know Tom the best are those of the KU Civil, Environmental, and Architectural Engineering faculty. During Tom's years at KU, he was mentored by, was a peer of, and then mentored many on the faculty. Let's hear what some of those faculty members have to say. The first person we're going to hear from is Dr. Bruce McEnroe, Emeritus Professor of the KU Civil, Environmental, and Architectural Engineering Department, who began teaching at KU in 1987. Dr. McEnroe is a licensed professional engineer, and although he's unable to attend today, he did provide written comments about Tom, so let me share them with you now. He has been the KU School of Engineering's #1 ambassador to the people of Kansas and the #1 advocate of ethical engineering practice in Kansas for 4 decades. Tom helped so many struggling engineering students to be able to complete their degrees and go on to successful engineering careers. Thank you, Dr. McEnroe, and I believe that Dr. McEnroe's last sentence speaks to the heart of who Tom Mulinazzi is. Tom gave 100% when it came to students. Remember Tom's earlier quote? "I always tried to remember what it was like to be a student." Tom not only talked the talk, he walked the walk. Dr. G. Hahn, Roy A. Roberts Distinguished Professor of KU Civil, Environmental, and Architectural Engineering Department, is our first speaker in the group. Dr. Hahn has been at KU since 2004, and he is a licensed professional engineer. Dr. G. Hahn.
A Lawyer A. Roberts Distinguished Professor at the KU. and I'm now the president of ASC GA Institute. The reason I mention these credentials is to give credit to Professor Tom Mulinazzi. Tom recruited me to KU. I still remember at the beginning of 2004, exactly 20 years ago, I received a call from Tom. He told me that we would like to invite you for a campus interview for a faculty position in our department. After the interview, he told me that, "Gee, we want you and please come to KU." Later, he subscribed a 1-month Lawrence World Journal newspaper for me to know better about Lawrence and the KU. After I came, me very strong support by locating lab space, set up test facilities. Every time when I went to Tom's office, the first things he asked me was, "What can I do for you?" If I had a request, he always find a way to help and support me. Tom also cared about students a lot. When he learned one of my graduate students who would like to come to the lab to perform a test during the weekend, Tom told the student that he should have another person with him. That weekend, Tom came to the lab to ensure my student had another person there. Tom told me that a student should not work alone in the lab during the weekend in case something happened to this student. Tom is this kind of leader who provides great support for his colleagues to grow and to succeed in their profession, and cares a lot about his students. Tom, I thank you very much for recruiting me to KU, helped me reach this level of my accomplishments. I hope you enjoy your retirement and wish you and Kathy to have good health. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hahn. Our next speaker is Dr. Stephen Schrock, KU's Interim Associate Dean of Academic Affairs, Professor, Director of KU Transportation Center, and a Glenn L. Parker Faculty Fellow. Dr. Schrock first came to KU in 2006 and is a licensed professional engineer. Please give a warm welcome to Dr. Stephen Schrock.
Hi, Tom. How you doing? Good. He looks nervous. It might be because the last time I got up in front of a crowd of people to talk about him was at his retirement, and it turned into a roast. So I just want you to be calm. It's okay. I had to promise not to do that in order to speak today. So regular speech. I want to talk about when I first got to KU, much like what G just talked about. I came in 2006. Tom was the department chair. And I felt pretty lucky in the sense that Tom and I were the two transportation engineering faculty, which at the time was a great advantage for me because as an assistant professor, I really only had a vague idea of what I was supposed to be doing. And so I would go to Tom's office a lot to ask for advice and guidance. And I knew that because we were the transportation engineering faculty, I could always get in. So I kind of viewed that as my golden ticket, and I took full advantage of it. And I kind of felt sorry almost for the other people that didn't really have that special access to Tom, almost. And so you can imagine my surprise after I'd been there a little while. What you already know is that everybody has that golden ticket with Tom. That it doesn't matter whether you're faculty, whether you're staff, happy students, frustrated students, retired public works people that just happened to be in Lawrence and thought they'd stop by and visit Tom. Everybody had access to his open door policy, and he always made everybody welcome when they came. And that's really Tom's gift. It's not just that he will make time for you. Lots of people do that. But what Tom does when he makes time for you is he makes you feel like that you're the only one he's doing that for. And I want to say thank you for that. It really made a difference with me when I was coming up through the ranks as an assistant professor. I want to thank you for what you did for the department, for the School of Engineering, and for the engineering profession. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Schrock. Our last faculty member to speak is Dr. Caroline Bennett. Dr. Bennett is chair of the KU Civil, Environmental, and Architectural Engineering Department. She's a Charles E. and Mary Jane Sparr professor and a Glenn L. Parker faculty fellow. She, too, is a licensed professional engineer. Please give a warm welcome to Dr. Bennett.
It's such a pleasure to be here to say a few words in honor of Tom Mulinazzi, someone whom I deeply respect and admire. The reason we're all here today is the same, to honor Tom for his exceptional service to the state of Kansas, and I can't think of someone more deserving of this honor than Tom, not least of all because he understands Kansas. Tom is not a Kansas native, but you would not know that by talking to him. He's always gone out of his way to understand the different towns and counties across the state. Dean Rizak, I'm sure he knows where Emmett, Kansas is. But the main perspective that my comments come from today is focused on Tom's service here at KU, because truly what better way to serve Kansas than by serving as an educator and a mentor of Kansans at our Kansas flagship institution and building a career in transportation engineering that has had positive impacts on citizens to the furthest reaches of the state. Tom was also chair when I was hired into the Department of Civil, Environmental, and Architectural Engineering here at KU. Tom served as chair from 2003 to 2008, and again as interim chair in 2012 to 2013. I'd like to comment a little on his impacts as chair, since that's the first and most formative context in which I've known him, and because it set such a great example. Tom embodies approachability. He has a fantastic sense of humor and a contagious laugh. He's an excellent listener, and as chair, he conducted the department with a broad sense of fairness and support. His door was always open. More than anything, Tom approached the chair role with a true spirit of service. He's a prime example of what it means to be a servant leader. Tom is deeply committed to professional licensure and ethics. While he was chair, he volunteered with the Kansas Board of Technical Professions and worked closely with students to impart the importance of licensure and ethical service to the industry. Tom worked with every faculty member who sat for the PE who wanted to brush up on their transportation engineering and surveying skills and gave individual tutoring sessions. Tom was instrumental in the creation of the Tiberity Series lecture at the University of Kansas in our department, our hallmark lecture series each year, which is focused entirely on issues of professional development and ethics. Tom has always been committed to supporting students, faculty, and staff as whole people. You have no idea how many former students have shared with me how influential Tom was to their success, and perhaps even more important than their success, them finding their way in the world. Tom understands relationships. There is a little lunch break room in the department. There's a kitchenette and a lunch table, and for years, Tom made a point to join anyone who was having lunch in there. We learned a lot about Tom's family, about his time in the marching band at Notre Dame, his love of sports and basketball, and really it was amazing how much department business was tangentially accomplished in a really lighthearted way in that hour each day. Even after retirement, Tom has continued to serve the department, KU, and Kansans. Each week, he hosts Toastmasters in the departmental offices and works with students from across the school interested in improving their public speaking. He advised and mentored CEAE undergraduate students well after retiring and continued to speak with freshmen in our introductory courses about professional development and how to be a successful student and to conduct themselves in an ethical way. In closing, everyone here knows that Tom Mulinazzi embodies service to Kansas. All of us Kansans are better for Tom's influence on students, faculty, staff, the University of Kansas, and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bennett. When your peers express their appreciation and admiration for you, as this group of speakers has done towards Tom, you know that Tom was a highly respected and valued member of the faculty. We've come to our last group of speakers, and they represent the Kansas Society of Professional Engineers and the Engineers Foundation of Kansas. Since 1910, the Kansas Society of Professional Engineers has represented all engineering disciplines and practices for the state of Kansas's licensed professional engineers. The Engineers Foundation of Kansas, who is honoring Tom today, is a 501c3 organization that was formed by the Kansas Society of Professional Engineers to support engineering students, educators, and practicing professionals with education and ethical practices. Our first speaker in this group is Carrie Greenfelder. Ms. Greenfelder is president of the Kansas Society of Professional Engineers. She's a KU alumnus and is a licensed professional engineer and is a National Society of Professional Engineers Fellow. President Carrie Greenfelder.
Of the Kansas Society of Professional Engineers, or KSPE, let me begin with a hearty congratulations to Dr. Mulinazzi. My name is Carrie Greenfelder, and not only am I the current president of KSPE, but I'm also a proud Jayhawk alum. I could speak for hours about the successes and accomplishments of Dr. Mulinazzi, but instead, I will focus my remarks on two main points. Up first, I'd like to speak to his attention to the education of our youth at the University of Kansas. I can only imagine that Dr. Mulinazzi's attention was pulled in so many different directions in his distinguished roles at KU. But you know, he always made time for the students. You know, I recall passing him in the hall with my chemical engineering student friends, and albeit a little nervously, we would stop and we would ask him an outlandish question. Could have been about something we were studying, we read in the news, or just curious about, such as, can I leave my refrigerator door open to cool down my apartment? Sure, he'd always laugh, but then he'd share his thoughts with us. And he just had a knack for pushing our thinking and encouraged us to always look at the world with such inquisitive minds. So I can promise you that the Chemie class of 2000 went proudly into the engineering workforce with a broader sense of wonder and an eagerness to continue learning. So thank you, Dr. Mulinazzi, for your unwavering attention to our engineering students. The second item I'd like to speak to is his staunch promotion of engineering licensure. Dr. Mulinazzi was the Associate Dean of Engineering when I was an eager student in Learned Hall, and I recall that he came to speak to my class during our senior year, and in his speech, he emphasized the importance of professional licensure to a career in engineering. I remember I went home that day and I signed up to take the Fundamentals of Engineering, or the FE, exam that coming spring. And I know many of my classmates did the same without reservation, thanks to his inspiring words. Okay, sure, we had some doubts later on because whoever feels ready enough for a half-a-day engineering exam, but thanks to his encouragement, we passed. And I and many of those graduates were eligible to later sit for the Professional Engineers, or the PE, exam. Today, happy to report that I now have 7 PE licenses. So I can state again, without reservation, that his words not only propelled my career, but also that of so many others in engineering. So Dr. Mulinazzi, thank you for promoting engineering licensure. In closing, on behalf of KSPE and myself, congratulations to you and thank you for your distinguished service to the engineering profession and the University of Kansas. Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
Thank you, President Greenfelder. Our second speaker in this group is Wayne Nelson. Wayne serves as the president of the Engineers Foundation of Kansas. He too is a licensed professional engineer, and he too is also a National Society of Professional Engineers Fellow. President Wayne Nelson.
Hello, I'm Wayne Nelson, and I'm the president of the Engineers Foundation of Kansas. Tom Mulinazzi, PhD, PE, PS, a longtime professor at the University of Kansas School of Engineering, past board member of the Kansas State Board of Technical Professions, champion of the Order of the Engineer, establishing the KU link number 131. Tom is well known for presenting on ethics and the professional engineer all across the state of Kansas. Beyond the professor, there is the caring and welcoming individual engaged with current and future students. An example, It was an early summer day, and I was investigating engineering programs. My wife and I had been to Kansas City, and on our way home, we stopped in Lawrence and the KU School of Engineering. I knocked on the door of a professor, and he invited me in. We talked about engineering and what it would be like to start an engineering journey at the age of 43. I don't remember the details of that day, but we talked for over an hour. That professor was Dr. Tom Mulinazzi. Tom has always been concerned about the student. In 2014, Tom's children established a scholarship fund geared to the non-traditional engineering student in his honor. Today, the Engineers Foundation of Kansas is establishing the Tom Mulinazzi, PhD, PE, PS, University of Kansas Engineering Ethics Licensure Fund. EFK expects to provide funding for use by the KU School of Engineering to promote engineering ethics and licensure. We anticipate the funds being used to provide fundamentals of engineering practice exam sessions and study materials, provide test site equipment, pay exam fees, and otherwise promote ethics and the FE exam. We feel this is a fitting way to honor the man whose life has been dedicated to engineering licensure and ethics. Congratulations and thank you, Tom.
Thank you, President Nelson. That concludes our list of speakers, and I think it's safe to say from all of our speakers that Tom Mulinazzi's teaching ability, his devotion to students, his leadership skills, his engineering knowledge, and his engaging personality are all held in the highest esteem. I would like to thank all of our speakers and those who provided comments. But don't leave yet. We're not quite done. We still have a little more. Next, I would like to call up on stage Kansas Senator Marcy Francisco and Kansas Representative Barbara Ballard, who have special recognitions to present. Senator Francisco serves as the Senate Agenda Chairperson and represents Senate District 2, covering much of Lawrence and areas north of Lawrence. Senator Francisco first assumed office in 2005 and has 2 Bachelor of Science degrees from the University of Kansas, one in environmental design and one in architecture. Representative Ballard serves as the House Minority Caucus Chair and represents House District 44, covering much of Lawrence, the area west of Iowa Street. She is also Senior Associate Director of the Dole Institute of Politics at the University of Kansas. She has a Bachelor of Science degree from Webster University and a Master's and PhD from Kansas State University. Would you please give warm welcomes to Senator Francisco and Representative Ballard.
Good afternoon. I am actually delighted to be here and to say congratulations to Tom Mulinazzi, to Kathy, and his family. I will also just say I was with Student Affairs. I was Associate Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs for a long time, and that's how I heard about Tom Mulinazzi. And part of that was, I'll say, Scormaby. And Scormaby was their organization for students of color. And Florence Baldridge was their director. And she mentioned your name to me because I was seeing a lot of students in engineering from counseling. But then I found out that they were going to see Tom Mulinazzi. And part of it was because he had a listening ear. And he opened door policy, and they felt comfortable, and they trusted him. And I think that is true today. I will just say I'm a Rotarian with him as well. And we have the four-way test. And the one I'll focus on today is service above self. That's what you have heard today about Tom Mulinazzi. There's a poem that it's too long to read, but I would recommend it. It's What Will Matter by Michael Josephson. All you have to do is Google What Will Matter, and you will read this poem. It's something we probably all should live by, and I think Tom Mulinazzi has done that. His poem is What Will Matter. Tom, you chose to live a life that mattered, and that has made all the difference, not only in your life, but in all the lives that you have touched. I have a certificate from the House of Representatives. I think I'll show you, and then when Marcy does it, we'll present it both, okay? From the State of Kansas, the House of Representatives official certificate requested by Representative Barbara Ballard, be it hereby known to all that sincere congratulations are offered honoring Tom Mulinazzi in recognition of his lifetime commitment to engineering, ethics, and licensure. The entire membership extends its appreciation for his exemplary service to his community. And it's signed by myself and Susan Kennard from the House. I will just simply say, I was thrilled to be asked to prepare this for you. It is our highest honor that we give from the House, and I can think of no one more deserving than you. He's also my Lady Jayhawk volleyball partners over here, so thank you very much.
I, too, was so delighted when I was asked to create a tribute. I graduated from the School of Architecture in 1977, 2 years before Tom Mulinazzi started teaching. But I really appreciated those classes that I took from the School of Engineering. It's been a long time since I've had to think about statics, strengths, or structures. But Tom, you took on faith that 1 + 1 = 2. I took on faith that God wanted reinforced concrete. And I say that because why else would two materials that seem so different, concrete and steel, have the same coefficient of expansion? So appreciate that very much. When you did come to Lawrence or to KU and joined the faculty in 1979, that was the first year that I started my 4-year term on the Lawrence City Commission. And so one thing that hasn't been mentioned yet is Tom Mulinazzi served on our Traffic Safety Commission and is one of the reasons that we haven't gotten into so many accidents when you leave the parking lot across from City Hall, because he was going to only make us turn in one direction. If he hadn't, so that's very much appreciated. Later, when I was working in the Office of Facilities Planning, I got to work with both Tom and Dr. Locke on space concerns in the School of Engineering. They were always gracious and always working hard for the school and for their students. So I appreciate, as a student who had those engineering classes, how much I know you've meant to everyone else, and am so pleased to be here with the tribute from the Senate. Be it hereby known to all that sincere congratulations are offered to Tom Mulinazzi in recognition of lifetime commitment to engineering, ethics, and licensure. And the Kansas Senate and Senator Marcy Francisco join in congratulating you. Thank you so much.
Could we have you come forward, please? Tom. And while he's coming, I just want to say to you, you know him in this capacity, but I also serve on Cottonwood Incorporated with Tom Mulinazzi. For those of you who are not familiar with it, it's an organization that serves the intellectual and developmental disability, and we serve on the board of directors. And we have never had a better director. So you can see all the areas he served. And when you talk about what will matter, he has chosen to do that, to make a difference in the lives of so many people. And I'm not sure all of us can say that, but we certainly can work hard to accomplish that. He has.
Yeah, go ahead and sit down, Tom. Thank you, Senator Francisco and Representative Ballard. These are special tributes, and Tom, congratulations. We're going to keep you up on stage here just a little bit longer because we still have some recognizing to do. You heard earlier from Wayne Nelson, president of the Engineers Foundation of Kansas. He provided comments about Tom and how Wayne described Tom as a caring individual. I'd now like to ask Wayne to come up here for a special presentation. Please welcome Engineers Foundation of Kansas President, Wayne Nelson.
How can someone describe in a few words the life of an individual such as Tom Mulinazzi? Many individuals have given voice to that task today. I will start with one word: legacy. What an immense impact this man has stamped upon his family, his community, students, and the University of Kansas. Today we are recognizing Tom for his commitment to engineering ethics and licensure. I have witnessed his passion as he presents talks on ethics in particular, his energy and the fire growing as he delivers insights into the core of what it means to have high ethical standards. Another example of his commitment is to the Order of the Engineer. This steel ring that you wear on your little finger is a constant reminder of the oath that I and every one of you who have taken it, of the high expectations of being an engineer. Tom has left his imprint on hundreds of engineering students, guiding, counseling, and poking them when necessary. Tom, in my role today as president of the Engineers Foundation of Kansas, it is my great pleasure to present to you this plaque honoring your service to the engineering profession. That plaque reads, Engineers Foundation of Kansas, EFK, honors University of Kansas School of Engineering, Emeritus Professor of Civil, Environmental, and Architectural Engineering, Thomas E. Mulinazzi, PhD, PE, PS, for his lifetime commitment to engineering ethics and licensure. April 12, 2024.
Thank you, Wayne. And Tom, you still can't go yet. You need to hang around just a little bit longer. Now, if Tom Roberts would come forward. Tom is Vice President of the Engineers Foundation of Kansas and is a licensed professional engineer. He is past president of the National Society of Professional Engineers, a National Society of Professional Engineers Fellow, a National Society of Engineering Education Fellow, and Assistant Dean Emeritus of Carl R. Rice College of Engineering at K-State. Please welcome Tom Roberts.
Thank you, Rick, and congratulations, Tom. We congratulate you on your lifetime commitment. It's been said many times. What's interesting is I first recall we met in the early 1980s. I was a Black & Veatch Explorer Career Post program. I think I was working in B&V's Human Resources at the time, and you were working representing KU School of Engineering. We both spoke at a panel, speaking to parents and students about engineering careers. You provided some great advice on how to be successful in the transition from high school to university life. And over the past 40 years, you and I have been on the platform together many times. Of course, when I moved from Black & Veatch in Kansas City to working in the engineering dean's office at Kansas State University, we became competitors, each promoting our favorite colors. I wore a lot of Wildcat purple, and of course you wore a lot of Jayhawk crimson and blue. So Tom, I want to commemorate that a little bit. Please put that hat on, I'll put my hat on. There you go, all right. However, one quality that I think we shared over the years was a term used by U.S. First Robotics. How many of you are familiar with that program? But it's called gracious professionalism. Gracious professionalism. It's important to note that we were competed for student enrollments. We competed for school rankings. We competed for scholarship dollars. And we sometimes had our differences, but I've always admired your gracious professionalism. And it's important to note we weren't always competitors. We both promoted engineering ethics. We both promoted the fundamentals of engineering exam. And we also promoted professional licensure. In fact, together, we worked together about 15 years ago when we served on the NCAAS Faculty Licensure Task Force. That was a tremendous pleasure to serve with you, Tom. There was always one constant when you and I worked together. When we advocated our positions, but we advocated with gracious professionalism. And I've admired that. So here we are today recognizing you for a lifetime commitment. This K-State Wildcat and his wife, Karen, there she is over there, we're proud to present a check to the Engineers Foundation of Kansas for $1,000 in your honor. We've got that check right here, and I'd like for you to step over. And Karen, if you're going to take a picture, come on up. I want to present you this check. Now, Tom, we're not done yet. A few weeks ago, the Tri-Valley chapter, which is located in Manhattan, Kansas, of the Kansas Society of Professional Engineers, and its engineering leaders in Wildcat land issued a challenge to the other KSPE chapters in the state to meet or exceed a donation of $1,000 to honor you to create the Tom Mulinazzi University of Kansas Engineering Ethics Licensure Fund. So up here on the stage, I've invited Tri-Valley Chapter President Bill Heatherman and Enrique Salas to the stage to present the chapter's check for $1,000. Bill's a KU engineering grad, Enrique's a K-State grad, and I think it's important. Hang on here before you take too many pictures. We're going to do this in united fashion. Because it's KU, K-State, engineers across the state of Kansas, across the United States, recognizing Tom and his work. So there we go. That's all right. Leave it on the floor, Tom. I'm done with that page. Yeah, I'm done. Congratulations, Tom. And while Enrique and Bill are putting that check up there on the wall, we're not finished yet. I want to call to the front Tim Austin, who's a past president of the National Society of Professional Engineers, and Sarah Unruh, who's on our EFK Board of Directors. They're both from Wichita, Kansas. When the Tri-Valley chapter put out the challenge across the state, the Wichita chapter stepped up big time very fast. And they've committed more than $1,000, but we've got a check here for $1,000 to the Engineers Foundation of Kansas on behalf of Tom Mulinazzi and the fund. So let's congratulate and thank Tim Austin and Sarah Unruh for Tom. But we're not done yet, Tom. When our EFK president, Wayne Nelson, who I think everybody knows he's a K-State grad, challenged the KSPE and EFK boards to honor you in similar fashion. Wayne, thank you for putting out that challenge. There you are. Thank you. I'm pleased to call on past KSPE President Rick Enns and current KSPE President Kerry Greenfelder to the stage to present a $2,000 check to the Foundation of Kansas because each one of them have stepped forward representing their various leadership positions. So, Kerry, we appreciate your matching funds by your employer. So not only did her check go, but she was smart enough to get to her employer and ask for matching funds. So thank you, and congratulations, Tom, for another $1,000. Now, while they hang that check up, we're not finished. Okay, all right. But now, I'm going to just be bold. It's time to ask the room to help. You notice on your tables, there's a card, there's a QR code, there's a place to write a check. If you see so inclined, we're going to encourage everyone here today to contribute to this fund that we're establishing with the Engineers Foundation of Kansas to honor Tom, his family, and his work done here at the university. As been stated, it's our goal to raise more than $100,000 to endow a fund in Tom's honor so that we can supply KU School of Engineering with $4,000 to $5,000 a year to promote engineering ethics and licensure. And we've been working with Caroline Bennett. Caroline, we really appreciate your collaboration and participation. She's going to use the money well, and I know that the KU School of Engineering will use the money well. So if it's in your thought process to do that, we invite you to thank you for your consideration. But finally, Tom, I want to say congratulations. We salute you, and we salute your lifetime commitment to engineering ethics and licensure.
Thank you, Tom. And thank you to all the individuals and companies that have already donated to the Tom Mulinazzi, PhD, PE, PS, University of Kansas Engineering Licensure Fund. If you haven't already donated and you're considering donating, how can you honor Tom and help the KU School of Engineering and its students? Well, there are QR codes like on the screen, posted at the back of the room and on your tables. Simply scan the QR code with your mobile device, and once you scan the QR code, an Engineers Foundation of Kansas Expendable Fund page will be shown. This page describes the who, what, when, where, and how to donate to the fund. And at the bottom of the page is a red button to click on, which takes you to the next page. Simply fill out that page with your donation amount, and you are done. Your donation will further Tom's commitment to engineering ethics and licensure with financial assistance to KU's School of Engineering and its students. Thank you. And now let's hear from our honoree, Dr. Tom Mulinazzi.
This was supposed to be over at 1:30. It's now 2:04. So I'm just going to say a few words. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm very humble and surprised, happily surprised that all of you showed up and that I was honored today. I didn't expect it. All I can say is thank you very much. Please, please support engineering licensure. It's very important for this country, not just for people in this room. Thank you for everything you did. I really appreciate it. I have another daughter in Minnesota who's taping all this. So Christy, hi, hon.
Tom, thank you and congratulations. You may now return to your seat. Or you can stay up here, either way. I and the EFK board would like to congratulate Tom for his commitment and unwavering support for engineering ethics and licensure. Tom, you're an exemplary professional engineer, and you're certainly deserving of this special recognition. KU students, KU faculty, the university as a whole, the state of Kansas, and the entire nation, thank you for your service. Tom, congratulations. I would like to once again thank the University of Kansas School of Engineering, the Civil, Environmental, and Architectural Department, and the Burge Union for hosting and assisting with this event. I'd also like to thank all of you for your attendance and those of you watching online. This is a well-deserved recognition of Tom Mulinazzi, and if you haven't already donated to the Tom Mulinazzi University of Kansas School of Engineering Ethics and Licensure Fund, please do so. Your thoughtful consideration will be appreciated. One final note, the flower arrangements on your tables, those are for you to take home. So you have to decide amongst yourself who gets them, but please enjoy them. And this concludes our recognition and celebration of Tom Mulinazzi. Thank you.